Hi, and welcome to BizTech's Aha, the coaching show. This show is all about coaching and is produced in partnership with Corporate Coaching Academy. Now, today we explore entrepreneurship, and what we're going to talk about is really, are you good enough? And this is all about coaching for entrepreneurs. Now, to give us an expert lens, we have Dash, who is a startup ecosystem veteran, entrepreneurship evangelist, and coach. Now, Dash, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian. Good to see you. Thank you very much for having me.
Now, just a disclaimer, Dash and I know each other for more than 2 decades in the startup ecosystem. But Dash, for the benefit of the audience, give us an overview of your journey in the startup ecosystem and then how you transitioned into coaching.
So, Brian, as you know, I came into the ecosystem, I think, 25 years ago, very much as a kind of cheerleader for entrepreneurs. Having built my own company, more to get more people, more Malaysians, more younger people who have not heard of the word startup and entrepreneurship come into entrepreneurship in a fun way. I brought the Global Entrepreneurship Week. Silicon Valley comes to Malaysia, and various programs. And I was also, among other things, an ecosystem builder and working towards bringing the government, the private sector, and the young entrepreneurs together, and to what shall I say, airlift the startup ecosystem. With definitely there are other people who have done good work as well, but as one of the early fire starters in the startup ecosystem. And my journey has taken me from throughout the world. I've looked at ecosystems around the world, worked with various entrepreneurs. I've even run a Silicon Valley Accelerator in Australia for 2 years. Been a judge in various international competitions, mentored hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs, and done many things, and also taught entrepreneurship. And currently, I'm also in a small group of think tank led by Professor Dr. Saraswati, who's the founder of the effectual theory of entrepreneurship, how expert entrepreneurs make decisions and build ventures. I'm in her small group as well. Yeah.
So, Dash, how did you transition into coaching in your present form today?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So all the while I was working and involved in the ecosystem, what I saw was there are many programs that were actually focused on building ventures, helping entrepreneurs build ventures, helping entrepreneurs to find the product market fit, helping entrepreneurs, preparing them to get funding and all those kind of things.
And that's the go-to methodology, isn't it? That's what everyone does.
Yeah, that's a go-to methodology. And I have had a natural curiosity in the person always. Why is someone doing this? How does someone have the agency to act on a particular problem, and why are they doing these things? And the more I speak to founders and the more I speak to entrepreneurs, I find it's always about the money. It's always about solving a problem and then building a business model and earning money, right? And nothing wrong with that. I think it's a very it's an important matrix, and that's why you build a startup anyway. But however, there are many challenges in building a company. There are many challenges in building a startup. And the entrepreneur has to start with self-awareness about who he or she is, why she's doing it, and are they doing it for the right reasons? And these questions are something that has always stayed with me. And with a few conversations with some of my friends who said to me that, Dash, you should look into coaching as a way of helping entrepreneurs more effectively in this area. There is a methodology to follow. And then I was serendipitous. I mean, I was actually looking at it during the whole pandemic. I was researching and talking to a lot of people, friends, and serendipitously it led me to the Corporate Coach Academy, and that's when I signed up. And I was just blown away by the philosophy of coaching, actually. And coaching looks at the future. Coaching looks at just like the coach. It's a journey, right? The coach is not or a mentor or someone who's teaching someone what to do. So if you look at the dictionary of coaching, it has two. If you look at the dictionary of the definition of coaching, it has two definitions. One is a coach or a bus, and the second is someone who's a sports trainer, kind of a thing. But I think coaching is closer to the first, which is it's a journey. You're taking you to somewhere else. So to me, it's about that, the journey, the internal journey of the founder. And that brought me to coaching. And also we are very focused on product market fit all the time. I wanted to know if there is a product market founder fit, in a particular situation.
So I want to stop you there because I want to use your own words: product market fit, product founder fit.
Product market founder fit, yeah.
Product market founder fit. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now that also comes to the bigger question around: is an entrepreneur born or is an entrepreneur made?
Yeah, so this is a age-old question, right? About whether an entrepreneur is born or made. Research has shown, this huge research has shown, they couldn't find an entrepreneurial gene, and it is in us, right? It's like what Professor Sarah says, that if we are not entrepreneurs, then we would have been selected out by evolution. The advent of employment, the advent of corporations, the advent of being called labor is pretty recent, right? But before that, humans were entrepreneurial and entrepreneurs. And only recently we have coined the term entrepreneur and said someone who takes risks and someone who builds an enterprise, and that has separated labor, workers, employment from people who start companies. But today, even Reid Hoffman, the LinkedIn founder, says everyone is an entrepreneur, not because they should start companies, but the will to create is in everyone. So entrepreneurs, we are all entrepreneurs. It's just that our education system has made us forget we are one. Yeah.
Interesting. So Dash, now break it down for us, your approach. Again, as you said, all the venture coaching and stuff, all that is around the business. Your approach is around the individual. Break it down for us.
So I do not want to say that the venture coaching is not important. I think it's very important, to help people, to give them the methodology on the right things to do to get a venture off the ground. But before that, what about the founder? Who is looking into the founder? The founder's self-doubts, self-limiting beliefs. The ego of the founder is the biggest impediment to growth of a venture, right? And let's just take the mindset required for an entrepreneur, and then I will talk about my approach. The entrepreneurship, like Steve Blank, who is the professor or an entrepreneur in Stanford, and I mean, Steve Blank is very much an entrepreneur. He's listed 8 companies and all that. Says entrepreneurship is a calling. It's like, and it's wrongly put in the business schools. It should have been put in an art school. The entrepreneur needs to be like an artist, like a scientist, and entrepreneurs are truth seekers. They are. When you have an idea, when you have a problem that you think you're going to solve, you're only going to market with a set of assumptions. It's a very much a faith-based activity. It's like very much that you have fallen in love with something, right? You're just going out to market with that kind of a set of assumptions, and you need to be a truth seeker to test out these assumptions, and you need to put your personal biases aside to open your eyes, ears, and listen and watch before you could build a proper venture. So, what is the impediment that holds someone back? It is the founder's own uh, fear, self-doubts, self-beliefs that holds them back, right? And why? Why is it that they are choosing this particular problem to solve, or a need that they are targeting compared to something else? Are they aligned? Are they internally aligned and genuinely curious about this particular problem? Because curiosity is very important, because that's the jet fuel that will keep you going in spite of all the difficulties that will come across, what you will come across. So back to the methodology. The methodology is very, very simple. Is find a way to throw light, to shine the spotlight into your own self. That's basically what it is. Through a series of questions, through a series of challenging questions, asking the entrepreneur to think through why they are doing some things and what is it they are really curious about. It's very much a journey of self-understanding. So my methodology is, if you use venture creation as a canvas, can you use it as a mirror to learn about yourself? And entrepreneurship is very much about self-discovery, as it is about solving a big problem and building a venture around it.
Now, this self-discovery issue is very, very important, because I think one of the key things is, in the early stages of the venture, the entrepreneur, as you said, he sees a problem, he runs towards it, he's all excited, but then he doesn't think. A lot of people are not, although that is changing, driven by a purpose. And I think that that's part of your coaching as well, isn't it? Again, for self-discovery, so that it is more purpose-driven rather than sometimes blind optimism, that you go into a venture, then you realize, hey, actually there's not really something out there, because you haven't thought it through.
You know, you just hit the nail, on the head. Performance is very much about purpose, right? You need to know, you need to have a sense of why and a sense of purpose in what you are doing it. And I recently went to an event, and all I saw was entrepreneurs asking about valuations and how much money they can raise and what kind. And I think that we are missing the point. And what I'm saying is that, let's just take an analogy of a student. And if a student is only focused on getting the number of A's or number of distinctions, right, which is important to get to the next level. But if you have missed the learning, you are just, a robot, and you are just credentialing yourself, and you just want credentials. And are we searching for credentials? Are we searching the next credential is the next series of funding? Is that your only validation, or is that what you're really solving? And we know the number of ventures that are really successful are not necessarily the ones that are venture backed. So purpose drives performance in many ways, and yes, that's very important. And purpose is always tied to who you are and what kind of problems that you are curious about. And I have never seen someone who have just woken up one morning and found a problem that is not related to who they were actually.
And so this is interesting, right? So this is where what you're saying connects with me, absolutely, because if in an entrepreneurial journey someone starts something, they will never have sustainability unless there's purpose. And for someone like you to come in, coach this person to find out what are the inner truths that drive them, this is really that process of unlocking potential as well, isn't it? And perhaps the internal stumbling blocks that prevent them from being successful.
That's very true. Sometimes they may not be able to find the purpose up front. They may find an interesting problem up front, but along the process, right? Along the process of finding out, they say, "Oh my God, it clicked. This is why I love what I'm doing." Or they may just switch, and sustainability comes now. The word sustainability is very much a process of what we are saying is endurance, right? How long you can keep going and how far you can keep building the venture or the business, right? And endurance is not just about the external market need that you have met, but also about your own internal motivations, that are going. And entrepreneurs at every stage and founders at every stage would come across challenges, internal challenges, and they've always needed a thinking partner. And a thinking partner, a good coach is very much a thinking partner. Okay, a good coach is not there to give answers or direct or give through methodologies or advice. A good coach is always someone who's listening, asking the right questions, um, prodding someone, challenging them to achieve an internal coherence with purpose. And it's in a perfect world, someone can actually figure these things out themselves. But we are not living in a perfect world. You need a mirror, an active mirror, right? Someone to challenge you to think through. Yeah.
And so this is really particularly important in a venture funded or even if it's not a startup a venture where there is a solo entrepreneur, or it's a single founder venture where perhaps that journey, as we know, Dash, it can be a very lonely journey, and having that thinking partner to ask the right questions, to get you in the right mindset, could mean the difference between success and failure.
Brian, you're right. It doesn't necessarily need to limit to solo entrepreneur. Solo entrepreneur is solo because they are trying to put it together. But and we know that entrepreneurs, founders, you normally have co-founders. You normally have a board. You normally have even in a venture backed, you have venture capitalists. You have all these people. You can have everyone around you who are focused on getting your venture up and going, but you still need a thinking partner outside this to think laterally, to think outside. A lot of people get involved by working in the business. You also need to work on the business. You got to
On the
pull
business.
yourself out.
Exactly.
You got to pull yourself out, right? And this is when a great coach is important, because you can be with you can be with many partners, but you need time to scale the heights in your own mind. You need to untangle the squiggles or mess or complexity in your own mind on certain things, and sometimes you need a private discussion or a sounding board beyond your immediate co-founder or venture capitalist.
Dash, could you give us some examples, perhaps, of perhaps entrepreneurs that you've helped, really in terms of helping them sort of distill and connect with their purpose?
Yeah. So I've got a few. So one of them is a CEO of SME. I mean, they've got 15 million or more revenues. Large revenue, and this CEO, actually a few of them, they are thinking of the next trajectory of growth in their ventures, right? They know their business very well. They have been in the game for many years. They know their employees well. Um, but they are saying that the market, their growth is declining, but their market is, they want to change a little bit of their directions. And they know the answers, they know everything, they know what needs to be done. But to make the next step, take the next step, right? They have a lot of doubts. Is this something my employees will accept? Is this something my shareholders will be comfortable with?
Could you
Is
give
this
us an
something
example of that? Because
I
this is
can?
an important thing. A lot of times when entrepreneurs achieve some sort of plateau level, like you're saying, they want to make the next step to grow again, and these are fundamental
Yeah,
obstacles in their.
yeah, and the plateau level is not sometimes; it's always, because everything in life, right? Everything human created is an S curve. You know, it's all an S curve. So you start, and then there is an acceleration, and then things taper off. It's always. That's why we have something called innovation, right? We are constantly looking for the next S curve. And the job of the CEO is not just to make, like Peter Drucker says, not just to make today's business effective, but to create tomorrow's business. A founder is always making today's business effective and creating tomorrow's business, right? And to creating the tomorrow's business, you always are navigating uncertainty. Uncertainty is the core of what you are doing in the current world, right? And the world is not predictable anymore. The world has become, there's so much of exponential growth. Uncertainty is actually a core ingredient of venture building, at any level for that matter, whether you're a multinational company or a small company or a startup or whatever it is, right? When the entrepreneur comes to this point of uh, uh, recognizing that he or she may have an issue with performance, there is always a doubt: which direction should I take, and what should I do next? And all the how to's are there, but they would also like to sit and have a discussion on what are some of the internal things that I need to deal with, and some of the goals that what is holding me back generally. Yeah.
Dash, it's been a
Yeah.
fascinating conversation. I think it was enlightening. I've taken some mental notes, in fact, in terms of what I need to do. But before we leave, any final thoughts you'd like to leave the audience with, particularly entrepreneurs?
I think, firstly, entrepreneurs should begin with a capital A, awareness, self-awareness. And second thought is that founders should not shy away from having a thinking partner, a coach in their journey. I think the time is right to pick themselves a good coach who will help them in their journey. I think that's two of the things that I can say.
And if someone wants to reach out to you, how would they do that?
They could they could go to my LinkedIn, Dash Dhakshinamoorthy, or my website, dashinsights.com.
Now, Dash, thank you very much for taking your time to come on the show.
Thank you, Brian. It's always a pleasure.
Now, we've been speaking to Dash, startup ecosystem veteran and entrepreneurship evangelist and coach. I'm Brian Fernandez, and you've been watching and listening to BizTech's Aha, the coaching show, which is produced in partnership with Corporate Coaching Academy. This show will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.